Hey everyone, Dominic here with the Raving Hordes Game Club in Saskatoon. This time we've got round 2 of Plains War 2019. This was a local 5-game tournament over 2 days. Happened there just the other weekend. First game didn't go so great for me. Hoping to rebound here. Second game was against Kingdom of Aquitaine. The game we played was Dawn Assault with King of the Hill as the secondary. Here's a quick look at the deployment. For vampires, we've got some wraiths, Dark Coach, a unit of skeletons with halberds. There's a necromancer in the unit, a unit of skeletons with sword and board, another necromancer in the unit, a unit of skeletons with spears. The vampire general is in that unit. Unit of great bats. There's a banshee out front. Here's a unit of Barrow Guard with a Barrow King BSB. And finally, there's a unit of Barrow Knights. For the Kingdom of Aquitaine, let's see if I can remember what this was. He's got some yeomen up here. Right here, he's got a big unit of Grail Knights with a Wizard Master, I believe of Druidism, in there, as well as a BSB. He's got a unit of Knights of the Realm. Actually, I think these are Knights Aspirin. Yeah, I think so. Knights of the Realm here. And he's got another unit of Yeomen. He's got his General on Hippogriff here. And lastly over here, he's got some Questing Knights with another Damsel inside. After a few drops, he dropped his whole army with the intention of going second. Of course, he prayed, so he didn't get any bonuses. And instead, since I won the roll, I made him take first turn. So, yeah. Let's just look at the deployment there. So this is turn 1 for King of Aquitaine. On the one side, he moves up those Questing Knights. The rest of his line is kind of more or less staying where it is, but it shimmies around slightly to face more centered. His General on the Hippogriff comes up a little bit, and that's pretty much it for movement. He goes into Magic Phase, tries to cast the Oaken Throne, and I stop it. And I believe he tried to do something else here. Wasn't really too much for his Magic Phase, actually. I forget what other spells, but nothing really happened. We go into Vampire Covenant turn 1, and that's actually a look after the movements have been done. Basically, I just move the Wraiths up over here, try and give them a tempting charge. Leave them a tempting charge into the Dark Coach as well, because I don't think the Grail Knights have got what it, or the Questing Knights, sorry. I don't think the Questing Knights have got what it takes, so I move up the Barrow Knights, I guess, around the flank there. Their whole role here is they're going to go try and capture the secondary, which this is my piece of terrain for King of the Hill, and his is actually back here. There's another forest that those guys are in, and the trees are kind of removed, but I'm sticking far away from those Grail Knights. I figure I've got until turn 6, and then I can turn 5, turn 6, get over there with enough time, as long as they're around. We go into Magic Phase, and we put 2 wounds on his General with the Marked for Doom. I think it was Marked for Doom, the D3 wound one. And that's pretty much it. I think I might have tried to bump up the skeleton unit a little bit, but didn't go off. We go into turn 2 for Kingdom of Aquitaine. Just like I kind of thought there, he decides to go for that charge into the Dark Coach and makes it in. Elsewhere, the Knights Aspirants decide to wheel around to the other side, and taking 2 wounds, his General pops back closer to get out of range of my spells, hoping to get me to go a little bit forward as well. And the rest of the army is just kind of sticking out where he is. He goes into magic phase. That's better. He casts Healing Waters on his questing knights, which I let go off. He tries to cast the Oaken Throne, which I had stopped. And heals a wound on his general. I believe he had also put in his first magic phase, that's what it was, that was the other spell, he did the Master of Earth, I believe, on that Banshee and actually put 2 wounds on the Banshee. We go into combat over here. He kind of fails like I figured, and he sticks around though. I didn't suffer any wounds. I think I did suffer 2 wounds, but gained 1 back through Vampiric. And that's what the table looks like as we go into Vampire Covenant turn 2. So the Wraiths make the charge into the flank here. The rest of the army is pretty happy where it is. The only thing that I continue to move up were these Barrow Knights just a little bit here. I think this is 18 inches away, and I moved up the bats kind of to get into a march block type position, and yeah, to see what I can do there, I guess. Magic phase, we do the Rot Within this time, and we cast it with the Sacrifice, so the Vampire gets +1 as well as we get the ward save off on this unit, I think. Goes into combat. I put a couple more wounds onto the Dark Coach, but I killed the unit around him and ran down the Damsel. So that's what that looks like. As we go into turn 3 for Kingdom of Equitaine. So he measures this one here and declares that charge. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And of course, he makes it in. So I thought I was pretty safe, but not knowing enough about Kingdom of Equitaine, not being a regular opponent, they can charge a lot farther than I thought they could. So he makes that in. The General and the Hippogriff comes into the side of the bats there. Didn't quite see that one there, but that's okay. And he goes into magic. He heals up the wounds, the remaining one on the General. And I think that's pretty much it. I cast Oaken Throne, but I stopped it again. Goes into combat, and he wipes out the Barrow Knights and decides just to kind of pivot a little bit on the spot. Wipes out the bats as well, and does a 90-degree pivot there too. So that's what the table looks like as we go into Vampire Covenant turn 3. Over here, the Wraiths and the Black Coach decide to pop over here to come help out. For whatever reason, I had the one Necromancer in this unit left, went over here, and this unit decided to go sit in the forest. I don't entirely know why I was doing that. I just had to make sure that he didn't get to it. I didn't actually have to hold it, so. The Barrow Guard move up a little bit here to get into a little bit more closer charge range for some of these knights. I figure probably 2 of the units will make it, 1 at least will hopefully fail, and that should open me up to a good flank charge here if he goes for it. The Banshee in that unit popped through, tried to cause a wound, but he saved it, and gets in range to shoot these yeomen. We go into magic phase. We heal some wounds on the Dark Coach, and that was pretty much it. I actually think I cast the Rot Within again this phase on that same unit of Knights of the Realm, sacrificed, so now the Vampire is +2 for the rest of the game. And shooting gets a good amount of hits, causes the panic, and they run off. Yeah, but that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 4. So he measures up these charges. He decides that the General, Knights Aspirant, as well as the Realm Knights are all going in, and they all make it. He moves up the Yeoman to chaff the Spear Block, and decides to kind of get into the backfield here with these knights. So he just kind of marches back here to see what's going on. Into the magic phase, he gets the Oaken Throne. This turn, I let him have it. He gets Healing Waters off on the Grail Knights, and let that go. And then he tried to do the Toughness spell, I forget what it's called, on the Knight's Aspirant, I believe. And I stopped that one. But, as you already saw, we go into magic, or into combat, and it didn't matter too much. He kills out the BSB with his general, and because of that, I'm not stubborn, and I lose by too much. The unit crumbles around. So, yeah, that's what that's looking like. And I believe he just decided to, I think he overran with the Knight's Aspirant, and the other units I think stayed put. I think maybe this guy did too, but yeah. So the Knights of the Realm stay where they were. The other Knights overran, as well as the General and the Hippogriff. So that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 4 for Vampire Covenant. So the Spear block goes into the front, since he had reformed. I'm now at the front charge instead of a flank charge. They decide to declare that charge against the Realm Knights. They stick around. Which was this here? The Dark Coach declares a charge into the Yeoman, and they've decided to flee. This, I needed exactly a 12 on the dice to get there, and as you can see, he makes that charge, the long charge, into the flank of those Realm Knights. The rest of the army kind of moves up. I remember I don't need to sit in that forest, and instead turn around, move the Necromancers back to get out of safety, because I saw that one charge he made before, and I don't want him to do it again. The Banshee went and tried to cause a single wound to the General, and just gets within... Actually, I think he was out of march range, so he couldn't even march up to do it. But just he's going to go Scream for what it's worth. That's kind of what the table looks like as we go into Magic phase. So we do the Breath of Corruption on my General. You let that go off. And I think I also boosted some skeletons this turn as well. We go into shooting, didn't cause a single wound to the General. Into combat, I win by a bunch. He breaks and gets away. I decided to restrain pursuit with the Spear block. And the Dark Coach chased, but just missed. We actually had the positioning here. It's kind of a weird picture, but before we moved anything, we did check. If this guy had gone, I think, 2 inches further from where this was, he actually would have clipped the General and the Hippogriff. So I thought at the time I was feeling pretty good about that, but hindsight 2020, it's probably a good thing I didn't actually make that into him. So yeah, that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 5 for Kingdom of Equitaine. He rallies the Realm Knights. He puts the General up in front here, and just marches past with both of these units. Puts the Yeoman up in front, kind of blocking me. And that's pretty much it. We go into Magic. I stopped the Oaken Throne and then made him cast it again. So we got that off. And that's pretty much it, actually, I think, for Magic. I think he was just keeping these guys at full strength for pretty much the entirety of the game. Yeah. So turn 5 for Vampire Covenant. What did we do here? Being blocked, the Dark Coach couldn't get into... I didn't want to go into the Yeoman and be pulled aside, so didn't clear any charges over there. Spears go into the Hippogriff Lord, and the Sword and Board Skellies go into the Knight's Aspirant. both these characters pop out since these Knights of Grail Knights are getting dangerously close. And that's pretty much it. The Banshee walked through. Yeah, the Banshee walked through the Knights of the Realm and gets in position to scream off the Yeoman. And we go into Magic. We do Breath of Corruption on the Dark Coach, actually. And I think that went off. And that was pretty much it, actually, I think, for that. I think I was trying to do something over here, but nothing happened. We do shooting. Shoot off two of these guys. They pass their panic and stick around. And that's pretty much it. Let's see here. Yeah, in these combats, this is a win for the vampires, but he makes a break check. As well as over here, I think we win by 1. He passes a break check, and he's good to go. So turn 6 for Kingdom of Equitaine. The Yeoman get in way of the Dark Coach, and just take a good picture of it. The Grail Knights were thinking about making a charge to scoop up some points. Instead, they decided to go for the objective. So they pass their march check and march right into the forest. There's that block. Into the magic phase. I believe he kind of fizzled out, actually. He tried to do, I think it was the plus toughness on his Hippogriff General, and we just stopped that. That was pretty much it for Magic. Combat, I did the Sword and Board Skeleton ones first. I did 2 wounds, or I did single wound to him. I don't think he did much back to me. He broke, ran, but got away. And in this combat, this time the vampire is in a challenge with the Hippogriff Lord. I think we did a wound to him, and he did a wound to me only. So we win by ranks, and he breaks but gets away, as you can see. And we actually, with this pursuit, we actually hit those Knights Aspirant as well. We go into turn 6 for Vampire Covenant. So with this going on, there's those yeomen that were up here. We declare a charge from the Banshee, and they fail their terror check. So they actually go through all of this and die to the dangerous trains popping through the enemy units, which frees the Dark Coach up to declare a charge over here, which he flees to try and get away. We do make that charge. And lastly, the Skeleton Spears with the General declare a charge against his fleeing general to push him off the board. Over here we have that Halberdier unit, as well as I was debating whether or not. I know these guys have got divine attacks, so I wasn't sure about sending these guys in. In the end, I just decided to put just the Halberdiers in, see if I can win by ranks and a big flank and sticks and all that. I guess no stick on the Halberdiers, but so we'd make that charge. We go into Magic. Nothing really important. I think I healed up some wounds just to make sure I wasn't giving any extra points. And we go to combat. As you can see, he's got 3 knights, and he does 5 wounds there. And I don't do a single thing back. So with that, we didn't even make him take a test, because he's got 5 wounds, 2 sticks, I think 3 ranks in that unit, at least 2. So I actually ended up losing another skeleton just to crumble with that. But that's where the game ended. It was a 13-7 victory for Vampire Covenant, but he did capture the secondary there on turn 6, making it a 10-10 draw. So it was a really fun game. Looking back at the game, though, right now, it looks like we may have made a few mistakes, which is always good to look back at some of these games and see what we did wrong. Kind of when you're in the heat of the moment there, I don't think you remember quite everything, but that's all right. Really fun game, really fun opponent. Hope you guys enjoy the battle, and stay tuned for the next one.